Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for this iplicit webinar on insurance brokers. We're going to start very soon. There's quite a few people joined today, so I'll just give them a couple more minutes to join and then we'll make a start. So we'll see you soon.
Hey Sarah, how you doing?
Morning, I'm great. You?
Yes, not too bad at all, thank you. Just going to wait just a minute or so. I know we've just got a couple other people joining just before we kick off. That's all right. That's fine. I think we just mentioned before about the snow just kind of in our area as well. It's absolutely coming down, quite heaving in Nottingham. I thought we were going to miss it. It's not great when I have to walk the dogs.
Yeah, it's not so cold today, I must admit. So I don't think we're going to get any here.
Yeah, living the dream. Yeah, I thought I was over it, to be honest. I think we've spoken about that already, you know, coming into spring. Just a quick another minute and then we'll just kick off. Yeah, just still a couple of people coming in. All right, perfect. It's about a minute past. We've got quite a bit to kind of cover off, so we'll just kick things off. Just like to say hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. Really looking forward to this session, particularly aimed at insurance sector. And we're joined by the wonderful Sarah Smith, Group Operations Director from A1 Insurance Group, who's going to share how they gained some real business-changing clarity by switching to iplicit's true cloud accounting software.
Morning, everyone.
Morning. So just to kind of set the scene, I'm just going to run through the agenda. As I say, we've got about half an hour to do this. I want to kind of cover off just a couple of introductions just to kind of kick it off. My name's Tim Bryers. I'm the Business Development Manager here at iplicit, particularly focused around the insurance sector. Sarah, if you just want to say hello.
Yep, morning everybody. Yep, I'm Sarah Smith, Sales Group Operations Director from A1, insurance broker down in the South Coast predominantly, and operating in both the personal lines, commercial and protection market.
Awesome, thanks Sarah. And some of you may recognise Guy on the picture here if you've been to any of our previous WebExes. Guy, if you just want to say hello.
Morning, everyone. I'm leaving it to you two to start with, so I shall join shortly.
Perfect. Okay, so as I say, we've got about half an hour just to run through things, and I've particularly broken this down into 3 sections. I'm quickly just going to set the scene of iplicit, how we fit into the marketplace, in particular how we support finance teams working in the insurance sector. And then we're going to do a bit of an interactive Q&A session with Sarah and go through some of the fundamental reasons as to why they actually selected iplicit, but what were the drivers behind that when they were looking at a new finance system. As Guy's just mentioned, he's going to be joining us nearer the end to try and put in perspective and just provide a bit of a demo of just some of the real things that we've been discussing in the the WebEx and how that functionality works with iplicit. So just to kick off, so who are iplicit? So iplicit offers a unique solution that we feel sets us apart from the competition. Best way to describe iplicit is it's a best-in-class mid-market software that provides enterprise-level functionality at this consumable mid-market price point. It's kind of making it an ideal choice for those frustrated SME customers seeking to upgrade from, you know, the QuickBooks Zeros or even some of these legacy on-premise solutions like Sage 50 that I know that A1 had previously, but still want that flexible, cost-effective alternative to the large-scale ERPs. And iplicit perfectly bridges the kind of the colossal gap between the two. I think it's worth mentioning as well, speed implementation time of just 16 days. Software really enables that, you know, rapid product adoption, minimizes disruption to your organization. But it's been a bit of a game changer for many of our customers because they've often not realized until they've gone through the implementation and just seen how it's enabled the finance team to really have that seamless transition from the previous finance system to innovative offering. Why iplicit? I mean, iplicit is a relatively new offering, but I think that brings kind of huge benefits. Number one, it's a modern solution, but it's built by a team with over 3 decades of experience in accounting software. It's sometimes perceived as a simple ERP because our goal is to make ERP more simple. And we do this by providing a really innovative solution with a modern user interface and really straightforward user controls. But from a commercial standpoint, it's a 12-month license agreement and then a rolling monthly agreement thereafter. I've heard from people working in the accountancy software space much longer than myself. It's pretty much unheard of. I mean, the benefit of this is obviously it allows us to serve our customers kind of like new customers at all times. And I think it's very easy just to highlight this, that when you hear about terms like simple ERP or great price point, that you think the solution might not quite be as powerful. But when you hear from Sarah talk about her experiences with iplicit, unless I've been totally stitched up, I think you're going to hear the exact opposite is true. So just to kind of cut into this, just we're an award-winning kind of platform since our launch in 2019. We're really pleased we picked up winner, top product, and finalist for the Accountancy Web Best Mid-Market ERP Solution. But one we're particularly proud of is our Capterra rating. We've got 5 out of 5 stars, which is purely driven by customer and user reviews of people using the iplicit system. And as you'd expect, we're fully FCA regulated. The final slide I just want to kind of capture on this is kind of the size of our community. Obviously, these numbers are changing all of the time as we've got ambitious growth plans in 2023. But what I did just want to focus on is our retention rate at 97%, with only 3% being lost purely through acquisition. So that was just a bit of an insight into iplicit and how we fit into the marketplace. But I know the more interesting things that we kind of want to get onto is the lovely conversation with Sarah. Brilliant. Sarah, just to kind of kick things off, as I said, we've just got some kind of questions that we're just going to run through, really focused around iplicit. But you've done an introduction of yourself. If maybe you could give me a bit of an introduction and kind of set the scene about A1, if that's okay.
Yeah, so yeah, thanks. So as I mentioned, so we're multifaceted, multi-skilled environment, but we have got 9 entities across the business, and so it does possess its own challenges with that. As staffing wise, we're around about 160 people with GWP of about 40 million, just over 40 million. So yeah, so it has its own challenges to try and sort of get the information there.
Yeah, of course. No, understood, definitely. So I mean, as mentioned right at the very beginning, you got Sage 50 in, you know, at the time. How long did you kind of have Sage 50 in place for? And as your business grew, what were the impacts of that?
So Sage 50 we had really probably about 10 years,
Right.
and so we'd kind of been used to it, traveling it, but just trying to get it to adapt to what we needed as the business grew and we had more entities. It's great on a single platform, it's great on a single entity, but when you're trying to be a bit more reactive, trying to consolidate accounts together, you've got no hope, to be honest with you. And we got to a point and a crunch point where we had multiple users, so getting lots of issues with replication conflicts, things not transferring over. It wasn't cloud-based, so for us as well, there was no adaptability. Everyone kind of had to be in the office, and it was just literally, we were just finding issues all the time where the data wasn't reliable. We couldn't literally confirm that the data that was being supplied to us from inputting was correct because of all these issues of replicating. The upgrades being put through, they were very sporadic. They would work on some entities but not others. So we got to a point where we literally were just tearing our hair out. So we couldn't actually rely on the data that was being pushed through and whether or not all the updates had gone through.
Right, okay, yeah, totally makes sense and certainly resonates with some of the different challenges. I mean, you just mentioned one there around being able to get into the office in order to be able to use Sage 50. Certainly, I imagine there's some impact around COVID for that. But yeah, like a lot of people that we speak to. But from kind of switching to iplicit, you know, you mentioned a couple of the challenges that you had, but what were some of the improvements that you definitely just found, you know, while we're around the business planning and potentially just management information that's obviously going to be applicable to yourself in operations?
Well, really, from the beginning, it was very obvious that for us, there was a lot more engagement in terms of how do we want the end to look like. So there's a lot more flexibility. So there was a lot more engagement and support in terms of training as well. So as you can imagine, I'm sure everyone's appreciate any time you mention there's a system upgrade or a system change, no matter what part of the business, everyone just throws their head up in the, hands up in the air in despair. But even with literally a couple of the really hard and fast traditionalists that are used to Sage 50 all their life, they were like, no, we need to go. And actually the training process and actually the demonstration, which you'll see later, really simplified the whole process. So there was, dare I say, it was a little bit of an excitement to actually move forward, and actually that actually seemed a lot more slick and could actually generate a lot more reliable and usable data.
I understand. Yeah, you probably just segued quite nicely into the next question, just around the transition, really. But just kind of some of those key factors that contributed to that success of that implementation. You've mentioned about kind of the afterwards, the training, but during that process, what was the implementation like? How did that look to you?
Well, to be honest, I was totally impressed, in terms of how smooth it went. Because we did have a mixture of having to import data quite simply, because we knew those results were fine, because the data was small enough to us to be able to recognize the numbers were correct. So we had a simple inflow and import of data, really easy. We then had literally the biggest entity was a mess, quite frankly. So we had to do quite a bit of rekeying, but the team were amazing. Sam was absolutely fantastic in able to help us bring forward some elements to make sure that it was a smooth and easy transition. And what I was expecting, to have to literally re-input almost 9 months worth of entries to make it viable. I was thinking, we're going to be here for months and months and months doing this. And literally we were up and running within 3 weeks. Genuinely, it was just like, that was just crazy.
Awesome. Obviously really good to hear, and that's definitely, as I mentioned just right at the very beginning, that's definitely one of our USPs that often isn't realized until customers are actually going through that implementation process. You mentioned Sam, that's Sam Curtis, our director of implementation teams, who supported you there. That's really good to hear. Just so once the implementation was all sorted, you mentioned you've just got 9 businesses within the group. Previously, did you have separate instances of Sage 50? Now you've consolidated all of those. What was the reporting like out of that?
Yeah, so what iplicit is great at is we can still keep the identity separate, which is great. You still need to be able to do that. But literally now, at a touch of a button, we've literally can consolidate it all at once. And what's brilliant is it is instant and it is real time. And again, we worked with Sam and the implementation team to kind of work out what results we wanted, what was the end result we wanted, to kind of make it our own, and what we needed and what the business needed. So for us, that real time data, which can also now not just go the consolidated, which was absolute like a dream, we can now really split down in between each entity, into between each products or mini teams as well, with a lot more clarity. And as I said, at a touch of a button, it's like, I want these people together, brilliant, okay, that's that center, and we can profit center that, and then likewise on a larger scale as well.
Awesome. Yeah, really good to hear. Obviously some really kind of key points, and definitely some differentiators with iplicit. We're going to pop into the demo in a second, just so Guy can actually just show you in real terms what some of those aspects that we've just discussed are. But often I like to just ask, kind of, should I say, just a minute or so, just on your top 3 tips for companies that are looking to make a kind of similar transition. I know that you covered off a few key points, but just to reiterate maybe your top 3 things, Sarah.
Yeah, the top 3 is actually knowing, for us as a business, was actually working backwards. What was the output? What do we really want to see? What results do we want? What data do we want? And how do we want it to look? And once we'd established that, everything else then just fell in place, and we worked with the team to kind of create that. But I think what was quite instrumental, and what we learned about the process as well, is that as business owners, you want data in one way, but actually maybe some of your management team, if they're involved in that, or also the accounts team, they want to work in a slightly different way, or need to see the data in a different way. But you can actually find that medium that works for everybody, and indeed create slightly different variants if you need to. So for us, it's knowing and having the confidence as well that actually you can ask, and the team will work with you as to say what's possible and what's not. And 9 times out of 10, most things were possible, which was, you know, unheard of when you've got a fixed program that you have to work to. So
yes. Awesome. Look, I mean, that's really good. Certainly those, last 3 tips, that kind of planning and understanding from your, the business perspective about what you want to achieve, relaying that to iplicit. But great to hear that we, everybody wants to view data in a little bit of a different way, but being able to adapt to that with an iplicit, having that kind of forethought. Awesome. Brilliant. Sarah, I know that we've covered off quite a bit just in a very short time, just really guide just a little bit of time to show the actual software. And let me just bring up the slide. Just cover off some of those parts, if that's all right with you, Guy. Just to bring you in now, I know we touched on some of the reporting analysis, multi-entity, maybe some analysis dimensions, or and if you've got a couple of other things around purchase ledger to add in as well, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I should try and cover off all of that.
Yeah, just make it quite specific.
You can see my screen. Okay.
Right.
So I'll try and cover off as many of salient points as I can, especially with reference to what you and Sarah have just been discussing, because that was really interesting, especially the bit about knowing what you want at the end, at the beginning. That makes so much sense, and that's something we're really passionate about as well. But the way that we've designed iplicit is, firstly, there's nothing to install, so we're totally cloud-based. So that obviously over the past few years has helped with remote accessibility to the system, but also brokers who have different offices, we're all using the same system, but I can log in from anywhere. iplicit will retain my preferences, so when users log in, not just finance users, but also the rest of the organization as well, we can present information to the right users at the right point in time. So we've got strict security controls in terms of what people can do and see. So you've got lots of things like segregation of duty, but if you've got different departments, different branches, that type of thing, we can also segregate the data. So I only get to see the bits that are relevant to me. So sharing that information is really important, but making sure it's accurate and we can ring fence the right information is just part of the way that we've designed iplicit. So we designed it with that analysis in mind, which is why Sarah and the team at A1 are able to get all of the information that they want at the right point in time through screens like this and others that I'll show you as we go through. And that analysis, because we thought about it right at the beginning with A1, it means that we can slice and dice that data throughout iplicit and the right people to get the right information at their fingertips. So once a user's logged into iplicit, the first thing I'll cover is talking about that analysis. So that analysis, whether or not you've got one or more legal entities, so the different organizations within your group, whether there's one, whether there's multiple entities, this is the starting journey of your dimensional analysis, your general ledger analysis as far as iplicit's concerned. And for each entity that we've got within the group, we can, if there's trading and intercompany trading that goes on within the group, we can again set the rules up, so the right people and the right companies can trade the right pieces of information between the organizations. And we've built a whole, we haven't finished yet, but we built a whole load of automations because we're really conscious about the time that finance teams have to spend manually inputting information, adjusting information, rekeying information, especially if they've got, like Sarah had, where they've got different save systems or and different software to operate each particular entity, but also to be able to take that information, whether or not we've got one entity or I've got 20, to be able to take the information that goes into the finance system and then support the rest of the organization. And the way that we do that with iplicit, we try and do this in a way that is manageable. So if we go to our chart of accounts, we call them attributes or dimensions, or we've decided that with the finance system, we're not going to limit any of our customers to the amount of information you want to store in the finance system, so that you can then record that. I can budget against things, I can provide things for different cost centers, different departments, different branches, different companies, and I can still, if we're part of the management team, still get a consolidated view of that information in real time. But that analysis is so important to us. And the way that we've designed iplicit is that we can create unlimited levels of dimensions to your analysis within your finance system. So whether or not I want to bring in broker information, if I wanted to bring in people's information in, if I wanted to bring in information, if we've got our own, whether or not we're using a sort of off-the-shelf brokering package, or we've built our own in-house business systems to be able to take the information through integration. Because we're a cloud-based system, iplicit has an extensive range of what we call APIs, so they allow different pieces of software to talk to each other. So I can get all of that good information, and I can bring all of that information so it's available in iplicit for me to report on and analyze. And different bits of our organization might want to analyze information out quite simply, but we might want to analyze information out quite comprehensively. We might want to have countries in there, and departments, and team members, and properties, and projects, and funds, and activities, and all of that sort of information is attributable to the transactions that are coming into iplicit. A lot of them through the integration, but a lot of them through any of the data entry screens as well, so that when we're putting transactions onto the system, let's go to just a simple one. So when we're putting transactions into iplicit, we've tried to make the screens intuitive, and we've also got lots of flexibility in terms of what the system can do in terms of presenting information, the right information to users. But some of the feedback we get from the team at A1 is ease of use, and the fact that we've got lots of simple, nice tricks for the finance team and other users to be able to do things simply. But when we put in transaction lines into the system, whether they're sales ledger, purchase ledger, it means we can trap that additional analysis. And especially if we're integrating through for other systems, we might capture lots and lots of different levels of analysis. By having all of that analysis within the finance system, that then gives us the ability to, as we're posting that transaction knows which entity we've got, it knows which region, which broker potentially, which salesperson did this. All of that sort of analysis then allows me to then slice and dice that data, as well as doing all the other things that we'd expect a finance system to do. So if I took a look at my profit and loss account, it should be the end result of a finance system, because we want to know what we're doing. The way that we structured iplicit is I can then produce management account information live and up to date and all available through a browser. In any of our data entry screens, in any of our reporting screens, you've also got the ability to drill down into transactions. So if I need to answer a query on an invoice, on a purchase, who approved this particular transaction, all of that can be just a couple of mouse clicks away, together with workflow information, attached documents that we can take through and store within the document management system within iplicit. That might be fine for one type of reporting, but I need to then be able to slice and dice that or report on that information in different ways. So we built what we call accounts packs with iplicit. So I can take that standard structure to our management accounts, and I might have a different requirement to fill in our annual returns. So I can then build different views of that nominal data quickly and easily. We might need to do our statutory reporting to send to HMRC. So I may need a statutory set of accounts, or we might have a US branch. So I need to do a US branch gap accounting. Yeah, I don't think we've got much call of that, at least in Northampton where I am. We can have management account views. So we might have different budget holders around the organisation who need to see just slices of the finance system. I can present that data to them users nice and simply and easily. I'm just going to reset mine. Because the other thing is then that all of those different dimensions that we're getting, the different offices, the different locations, how can I get that information so it's presentable as well? We've got some, what we call, to slice and dice the data, we can just drag and drop all those different dimensions into our on-screen pivot table. So if I then wanted to analyse that information out by cost centre, or a branch, or a region, or a country, or a premium type, or a type of service that we're delivering, all of that information allows me to be able to drag and drop that into iplicit. And then all of a sudden, I've then got all of that same profit and loss account information, but I've now analysed that by my different branches. And then underneath a particular branch, I've got an accounting period, and then underneath that, I've got maybe the different sectors that we've decided to analyse the financial information out. And I can do that on demand at any point in time. I can also have predefined screens. So if I want to take a consolidated view of the organisation, I've got real-time consolidations supported by iplicit's intercompany transactions. So the fact that we can do group accounts nice and simply, but I might want to look at that information by cost centre or a department, or it could be a budget holder seeing how I'm doing against my particular budget. All of that information with the ability to drill down is available at my fingertips. That's sort of the big picture type stuff, but also from a end user's point of view, we've also tried to give you, or give the finance teams especially, lots of nice, quick, simple wins within the finance system. So the fact that I can look at my purchase invoices nice and simply, I can search through my sales invoices. I might need to do some reconciliation that I'll come on to in a second. Any of the screens in iplicit, any of these what we call inquiry screens, I can have my own favourite inquiry screens. You can have your favourites across iplicit, so it's nice and simple for me to go and look for information. In addition to that, I can search through any of the columns. I can filter on any of the columns. I want to look for things from a particular date. And then I can use things, or I want to look at things before or after a particular date. I want to look at things between a particular date. If I looked at a value column, I could say, oh, I just want to look at transactions that have more than £150 in them. In any of the screens, we can drill down into information. We have workflow across all of the different transactions. But some nice simple things I can do. I can set up lots of template transactions. So if there's a particular type of invoice that comes in, I can set that up as a template, so it's already predefined for me. If I want to take a look and do a copy of last week's purchase order, there's copy buttons in the system. So copying things is we try to make it quite straightforward. I can even do copying line transactions as well when I'm doing some data entry. So I can go through and say, actually, I just want to do a copy of that line. I want to post it to these different areas. So trying to make the system intuitive in that respect is something, but we've also got lots of tools for things like recurring transactions. And one thing we know that, and especially in the insurance sector, reconciliation of things is really, really important to us, whether it's client account information, whether it's just a simple accruals account. So we've got reconciliations for what you should expect, our bank accounts. We've got live feeds through from our banks. So I can take live transactions from whoever you bank in and multiple bank accounts. And within the bank reconciliations, we can build rules and matching rules and get the system to take up a lot of that strain. What about other accounts that I might need to reconcile? We have that as well. So we've got reconciliation across the system, got lots of things across the system like scheduling of outputting of reports and workflows throughout iplicit for authorization and approvals, and also to segregate for segregation of duty. But because I can reconcile any account on the system, and we can build those rules up into these matching areas so that as I go through and match things, iplicit might have already matched things automatically based on those rules, but it means I can do on-screen reconciliation, and I can combine this with workflows as well. So once I've completed my reconciliation, where we have nice summary screens that I can identify, I can attach reports to information, maybe emails I need to attach to that particular reconciliation, bank statements, Excel spreadsheets, all that good stuff, and then I can submit it, and that can go through iplicit's inbuilt workflows. So again, we're providing that segregation of duty, we're providing oversight and lots of auditability across the whole of iplicit.
Just to give you a little heads up, Guy, we're just at 11:27, so and I've already got a couple of questions that have just come in, so just want to give you a bit of a warning there as well, if that's all right.
I promise I won't overrun.
Yeah, no, that's all right.
2 more minutes. Right. We've also got, because we're a consolidated system, if you've got, like in Sarah's case, if we've got consolidation, we've got different companies, because I can then provide consolidated age debtors and age creditors systems as well. So I can see I can see my suppliers from a group point of view. I can also see suppliers by a legal entity. We can do things like multiple company payments. That's all that good stuff. But what I can also do on all of the consolidations, provide that information to end users quickly and simply. I can do things like automatically do eliminations, and to be able to provide that information in different classifications. Because we have unlimited custom fields, I can slice and dice my suppliers, and more importantly, I could slice and dice my customers in lots of different ways. So we've got lots of filtering, we've got lots of classifications, and that includes all of your different segmentations and market categories that are important for you on a day-to-day basis, maybe as part of your brokering system, but it's also important to be able to reconcile and to be able to report on that from a finance systems point of view, and to have that information in real time and available not just through a web browser, because we also have all of that implicit information. I'll just pop this out. And you can just see that. And we also have an implicit app so that people, if you are out and about, and I can get through so security is really important too. So we've got fingerprint identification and face recognition in there as well. But I can also get to those approvals. I can even do expenses if you've got people who are going out and about doing cash expenses these days. We can do requisitions, they can check their purchase orders. But most importantly, I can get access to all of that good dashboarding information as well. So the dashboards we saw right at the beginning are available to me and the rest of the organisation live on any Android and iOS device as well. So hopefully that connectivity provides, or definitely the feedback we get is being able to access information from wherever I am definitely helps operations of all of the across the finance team and beyond.
Yeah, I think that's a really valid point with the app as well. I mean, certainly against Sage 50, when you didn't have any access before, and then being able to provide that with a cloud accounting software is absolutely perfect. But look, we're pretty much on 11 minutes 30. I've just got a couple of yes and no questions I think you can just put through pretty quickly, if that's all right, Guy. Just got one around the integration. Can you link to Go Insure?
We have a full set of APIs. So the answer is we can link to any, especially cloud-based systems. We have file integration tools as well, so I can do that. But we have APIs that are available to anybody who wants to link to, because Go Insure, that's a web-based brokering system, I believe. So, and we can do, I think, to that and also to any in-house systems as well, because there's a lot of those in the industry too.
Perfect, thank you. And last one, I know we do this, but just to confirm, we didn't mention it, does it do budgeting?
Does it do budgeting? Yes, we do lots of budgeting. Oh, we like a bit of budgeting. So we can do unlimited budgets and forecasting. So you can get that information. We can upload, you can enter budgets into iplicit. I can give budget holders real-time accessibility to screens. We can show them their budgets, their actuals, their variances on percentages based or actual basis. And one of the most usable features about this budgeting area is that when I click on a figure, I can drill down into the transactions as well. So again, there's lots more self-service available within a cloud-based system. So yeah, unlimited budgets and forecasts. We've got approvals around budgets and forecasts, and we can enter information from iplicit, but lots of people will upload budgets from Excel as well. So we've got all of that as well.
Funny you should say Excel. That was just what the final question was. Somebody just asked around Excel. We didn't touch on it, but we can definitely upload. So that's perfect. Look, we're probably just going to have to leave it there. That half an hour went really, really quickly. Just want to pass on my thanks again to Sarah for just taking the time to do this WebEx and just go through these questions. And obviously, Guy, yourself, just being the demo man that you are, that was absolutely superb. Just that whistle-stop tour. Obviously, if there is, you want to know a little bit more about, iplicit, by all means, please get in touch with me directly. It'd be great to be able to provide a bit of a demo, just going through the whole system on the parts that we talked about, but then also just giving you a bit more of an overview and a flavour. Awesome. Thanks a lot, guys. Hope to hear from you all again soon.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.